If any part of this story touches your heart, leave a heart in the comments. And if you want to spread this calm around, like this video and subscribe. Sometimes a simple gesture can be the bridge someone needs to cross. There are stories that don't begin with an event, but with a feeling. A gentle breeze on the face. A silence that doesn't weigh. A glance between a boy and his dog, as if they said to each other, "Today is a day to walk without hurry." There are moments when the world slows down without asking permission, and it's precisely in those moments that the softest things emerge. Forgotten memories, smells of childhood, little touches of joy that time's rush hide. This is the story of a bridge. But not just any bridge. A bridge made not of stones or concrete, but of something far more delicate. Light memories. The kind that don't hurt. That don't squeeze the chest. That simply float within us, waiting for the right moment to be felt again. Lucca didn't know he would find that bridge that day. But Blue, his companion on all journeys, seemed already to sense it. And so, between the silence of the morning and the sound of their own steps, began a crossing that didn't connect places, but states of soul. Everything began on a day when Lucca awoke without hurry. The alarm didn't go off. The sun, kind, merely peeked through the curtain gaps. The silence of the room wasn't empty. It was full of peace. Blue, his dog, still slept at the foot of the bed, body lightly curled, as one who dreams of open fields and endless afternoons. Lucca stayed lying for a while, just feeling the breath come and go. There was no weight on his chest, no urgency on the clock. Just a gentle desire to rise and follow the flow of a day that announced itself calm. When he finally sat on the bed, he ran his hand through his hair slowly, like one who awakens not only from sleep, but also from anxiety. Blue, sensing the movement, perked his ears and approached, placing his snout on Lucca's knee. A simple gesture, but full of meaning. I am with you. It was one of those days when nothing needs to be said. And maybe, precisely for that reason, everything can be felt. Lucca dressed without hurry. He chose a comfortable shirt, put on well-worn shoes from many walks, and opened the front door. The morning's fresh air entered like a silent invitation. Blue was already ready, he always was. And so, with a light step and an unburdened heart, they began to walk. No direction, no plan. Just trusting that the path would know where to lead them. The road they chose seemed not to exist on any map. It was one of those trails that only appear to those who aren't seeking anything in particular. The earth floor was soft, covered by dry leaves that crackled gently underfoot. The sky, filtered through the treetops, displayed a golden light that felt more like a hug from time. The wind blew softly, as though respecting their pace. It carried with it a gentle freshness, filled with smells that recalled childhood, freedom, and endless afternoons. Every tree they passed seemed to guard a memory. Every stone seemed placed not to block, but to guide. Blue walked a few steps ahead, alert yet calm. His tail wagged slowly, as one who knows he is right where he should be. Lucca followed in light steps, feeling that here, the mind quieted without effort. Thoughts came, but they didn't press. They only passed like the wind. The trail narrowed, then opened into clearings. The sound of a distant stream, the call of a bird repeating like a mantra. Everything seemed carefully orchestrated to guide them gently. And it was in that dance between step and wind, between sound and silence, that Lucca glimpsed something in the distance. A simple structure, but one that immediately held his attention. His feet stopped before his mind understood. Blue looked back as if to say, "We have arrived." And there, between the whisper of leaves and the serenity of the landscape, the bridge Vega. And it was made of pale wood, as though built with the gentle branches of kindly tree. The mist around it didn't conceal, but enveloped. It lent the bridge a dreamlike air, as though suspended between the visible and the invisible. There was no water beneath it. It wasn't meant to cross rivers, but perhaps Emotio. N.S. Lucca approached slowly. His footsteps naturally slowed, as though his feet knew they stood before something sacred. Blue stopped by his side, alert in silence. A discreet sign, planted at the bridge's start, read, "Here, each step is a light M. Emery." Lucca read it softly, nearly as one reading a secret. The air around felt more solid, and yet more gentle, as though everything there were designed to slow down, to invite an inner plunge. The wood beneath his feet made no sound. It simply embraced. He looked at Blue. The dog stared back with serene eyes, as though having crossed that bridge 1,000 times. Lucca drew a deep breath, and then he took the first step. As soon as he did, the world around him changed, but not abruptly. It was subtle, like when memories surface, yes, unasked. The air suddenly became sweeter. There was a scent in the wind, something warm, familiar. Cornbread with anise tea. The smell of childhood. He didn't need to think to know where that memory came from. It was from his grandma's kitchen on Sunday afternoons, when everything in the world seemed to have the right timing, and he didn't have to be anyone but a boy with bare feet and a light heart. Lucca's eyes closed gently. For a moment he was there again. seated on a low wooden chair, watching his grandmother mix the batter with calm. Sunlight streamed in through the window, dancing across the table. It was a memory small, almost forgotten, but now so alive, so present. Blue came closer and pressed his snout against Lucca's leg, as though remembering too, or perhaps feeling the same comfort the memory brought. Lucca smiled slowly. The first step was taken, and with it, a piece of his heart had been hugged by the past, not with pain, but with tenderness. The second step was even more silent than the first, and with it came a sound. Not just any sound. It was the gentle patter of fine rain on a rooftop. There were no clouds in the sky, no signs of storm. But there, in that space of the bridge, the sound existed, and it was as real as the wood beneath his feet. Lucca recognized it at once. It was the sound of nights when, as a child, he went to bed early and lay listening to the rhythmic drop as falling outside. There was no hurry to sleep. There was no fear in the dark. Just the rain's sound, like a sonic quilt enveloping the house. He recalled the scent of blankets, the soft creak of the bed, even the way his heart slowed at that hour. He felt it all again. Not like a painful longing, but a lingering warmth. Blue lay down beside him, as though that sound brought him peace too. And for a moment, there was nothing else, just the imagined rain, gentle, constant. Each drop was like a thought that fell and dissolved without weight. Lucca stayed like that for several minutes, letting the memory touch his skin and breath. Then he took another step, and the rain remained behind, but he calm stayed within. The third step brought unexpected warmth, not in the air, but in his chest. There was no scent, no sound, only a sensation, the arms around his body. A hug, old, forgotten. Lucca stopped. It was not any hug. It was that one specific which he hadn't received in years. He couldn't say from whom, perhaps his father, or an aunt who left too soon, or a childhood friend that life carried away. But he knew it was a hug that lingered. He closed his eyes, and his entire body remembered the firmness of those arms, the clean skin scent, the muffled thump of the heart of the one holding him. It was as though that moment said, "You are still loved, even in the silences, even in forgetting." Blue approached slowly, brushing his body against him, completing the gesture with his quiet presence, as though saying, "I am still here." Lucca inhaled deeply and released that breath with lightness. There were no tears, only gratitude. A hug does not have to last to keep living within us. One more step, and the hug became memory, and the memory peace. With the fourth step came a changed light. The air turned more golden, as though the sun chose to smile just for him. And then Lucca remembered. It was an ordinary afternoon, an unremarkable day. There was no festivity, no gift. But it was perfect, because nothing went wrong. No stumble, no rush, no harsh word. Just a calm sequence of small moments where everything seemed in harmony. Him. He remembered running with Blue across an open field, laughter easy, body light. There was grass between his fingers, wide sky above his head, and a rare feeling. He didn't need to fix anything, because nothing was broken. That afternoon returned now like a breeze scented with freedom. And with it came the memory of how possible it is to live beautiful moments without effort to make them special. The SIMPLYR. Lucca closed his eyes and let that afternoon live again inside him. And for a brief moment, the world felt that same field, open, vast, silently happy. Blue barked softly, as though he remembered too. Lucca smiled, and then took another step. The fifth step came with a light flutter in his belly, not of fear, but of memory. Lucca remembered a moment when he was refuge for someone. He was young, perhaps still a boy, when he held someone's hand who was crying. Someone important. Perhaps his mother. Perhaps a friend who had lost something. He didn't know exactly. But he remembered the gesture, the silent courage, and the words spoken softly. Everything will be okay. And it was. Not because he had fixed something, but because in that moment he offered what he had, presence. A steady look, a calm he didn't even know he carried. That memory didn't come as pride, but as consolation. Sometimes we forget the times we were strong, the times we were a shoulder. And when life weighs heavy, those memories may be the arms that hold us again. Blue looked at him sideways, as though recognizing that peaceful strength dwelling in small acts. Lucca inhaled. Yes, he had been peace for someone, and perhaps could be again, including for himself. One more step, and his Hest felt more whole. In the middle of the bridge, time seemed to vanish. There was no memory, no prediction, no past, no future. Only now. Lucca paused. The air was clearer. The gentle breeze bore no scent of memory, no sound of longing. It was just air. Fresh, pure, present. Blue sat beside him, as though also sensing there was nothing to seek and nothing to flee. Just the moment bare and simple lick. A lake without ripples. Lucca looked around and noticed the beauty in small things. The light's sheen on the wood, the faint rustle of distant leaves, the nearly imperceptible sound of his own breath. He realized there is a peace that does not depend on good memories or beautiful dreams. A peace that lives in the mom, and when we can just be. There, midway on the bridge, he was not the boy of memories, nor the boy of fears. He was only Lucca, and that was enough. Blue pressed his head to his leg. A simple gesture, without hurry. Lucca closed his eyes, and, for the first time in a long while, thought of nothing, only felt. One more step, and the now went with him. The final step brought no clear image, no defined sound. It brought a sensation, and it was new, yet ancient, as though it had lived in Lucca all along, waiting to be recognized. Ed. Gratitude. Not for something specific, not for a gift received, not for a great accomplishment. It was a silent gratitude, almost without shape, one that arises when the heart aligns with calm. Gratitude for being alive, for having memory that warms, for having walked this far, for having Blue beside him, loyal as time, for feeling that, even amid all pain, there are spaces of lightness inside him that were naughty, raised. He looked back, seeing the path walked over the bridge. Each step, a memory that had rebuilt him, piece by piece, with tend, earnest. Blue also looked back, and stood there as though saying, "You made it." Lucca smiled. There was no destination to rush to, but there was no reason to sta. Why either? It was time to move forward, with memories inside, but his heart turned to the now. Another step, and the bridge silently remained. Ned behind. Night came without sound. The sky, painted a deep blue, seemed to reflect exactly what Lucca felt within, serenity. Sitting on the bed, with Blue curled at his feet, he opened the diary and gazed at the blank page. And there, without echo, he wrote, "Today I crossed a bridge made only of light memories. I walked through recollections that had been asleep, but never gone. Each step reconnected me with the softest parts of myself. I realized I don't need to seek peace outside. It lives within me, in good memories, in welcome silence, in simple gestures." Blue knew the way. Maybe I did too, I had just forgotten. And now that I've reunited with all of this, I can sleep lighter, without rush to reach anywhere, because sometimes just being is enough. He closed the diary carefully, breathed deep, and smiled softly, as one who bids farewell to an old friend with certainty he'll see them again.
T.
Hen, he whispered.
4.
Today it's enough, dear diary.